From Beverly, Massachusetts, it's Wednesday night!
Starring Jody Slaughter.
And musical guest, Andrea Martucci.
Woo woo! Hi, everybody.
Hi, y'all!
We practiced that once.
And
Can
Kim
you
fucked
tell?
it up. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you all so much for being here. Hello.
Thank you.
I was just saying, as everybody was saying hello, we've got an international crowd here.
Yes.
And by that, I mean like New England and also West Coast representation.
Yes.
So far.
Honestly, I feel like an honorary New Englander. I've been here for 3 days.
It's like you were born here.
I think it was like I was meant to be here somehow. Don't let anyone in my family hear that I said that.
Yeah, I won't tell them.
I'll be shunned.
know your family.
I won't be allowed back home. Well,
yeah. So before we just like jump in, because we obviously just jumped right in. First of all, thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Andrea Martucci, host of Shelf Love Podcast. This is Dame Jody Slaughter, romance author extraordinaire. Yes. We're going to get to know her a bit more if you don't know this lovely lady already. But let's just like get some housekeeping out of the way. First of all, thank you so much to Copper Dog Books.
Yes.
We are in Copper Dog Books right now, if you cannot tell, in Beverly, Massachusetts. This is the bookstore I go to. They're an amazing, independently owned bookstore. Just celebrated 2 years of ownership with current owners, and they are proud genre supporters, especially dear to my heart. Romance friendly bookstore, romance affirming bookstore. And thank you so much for hosting this event, Copper Dog Books. And as Jody already indicated, Jody is visiting me from Louisville, Kentucky right now.
I do want to call you out for saying Louisville.
How do you say it?
Louisville.
Louisville.
All
right. Cool. All right.
She'll learn.
I'll learn. We've got a cool program here tonight. If you have any questions, enter them at any time. I think Julie, co-owner of Copper Dog, is also monitoring the Q&A area. So if you have a question, you can put it in there and we'll see it, or Julie will yell at us. She's like right over there. So what are we going to do tonight? We're gonna like pretend this is like a podcast recording, kind of. If you've listened to Shelf Love before, usually we just kind of have a discussion about romance novels or romance adjacent things. Jody said that she was going to tell me what my podcast was about. Jody, what is Shelf Love Podcast about?
Okay. So I was trying to like condense this down into a snappy little tagline. And what we came up with was life through the lens of romance novels. But like to expound upon that a little bit, I'd say Shelf Love is like a really in-depth examination at romance at large in its stages in the past, using like romance novels at the forefront.
That's great. I'm going to borrow that from my website. Thank you so much for this quick market research into what how other people would describe my podcast. Now I will introduce you. So Jody Slaughter, published romance author of 4 books currently available.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Also recently, not recent, I don't know, at some
point,
at some point in the near past, signed a 3-book deal with St. Martin's Press, and her first book coming out with them is out in summer 2022.
Yes, June 12th, 2022 to be exact. So mark your calendars.
Your calendars, yes. And I met Jody just like around and
on Twitter.
And actually Charish Reid was on my podcast and had us read White Whiskey Bargain by Jody Slaughter.
Yes.
And I didn't know Jody at the time. This is an episode in the 20s, I think, where Charish and I talked about White Whiskey Bargain. I was like, what an amazingly talented young writer. Yeah, it was a great book. It's so good, and I'm so happy that Jody Slaughter is writing more stuff. It seems like she's fairly new on the scene.
Okay.
So, wow.
She's knocking them out of the park.
And then I kind of just started chatting, and then Jody has been a guest on the podcast multiple times.
Yeah.
So that's how I've gotten to know Jody until we finally met in real life for the first time 2 days ago.
Yeah.
When I picked her up at the airport to come stay at my house.
She's letting me lay my head in her home.
Yeah. And we realized in the car last night, we were driving home from the boat cruise that we did, which was super fun.
Yes.
And I realized, I was like, I never told you where I lived. And like, I legitimately could have been luring you here for nefarious purposes.
And I fully was like, well, I told like my people your phone number and name. And I was like, and I kind of just stepped out on blind trust that I wouldn't end up wrapped in a tarp in the Essex River. And I mean, I feel like it's like working out. Like if you do want to kill me, you have about a day and a half.
Yeah. Probably wait
so get on
until
it
after this event,
you know what
because
I mean?
people knew we were doing this event. So
y'all, if I go missing, you know,
I did it.
She did it.
I really hope you
like, bitch, don't go missing.
Please don't go missing. This is getting really dark. This is not my favorite murder podcast.
No.
Okay, so what we're going to do tonight, first, we're going to start with an inspirational quote. Just before we began, I was browsing around the bookstore and I asked Julie, the co-owner of Copper Dog Books. I was in the self-help and like psychology section because you know I love that. And I was like, what's your favorite book in here? And she pulled out this book. It's called Keep Moving.
Maggie Smith.
I assume Maggie Smith is the author of this book.
It is not about Dame Maggie Smith.
No, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And I handed this book. It says Notes on Lost Creativity and Change.
Yes.
I handed this to Jody and I was like, Jody, find a random thing in here and read it aloud and then connect it to your life in a deep, meaningful way. She had 5 minutes less than 5 minutes.
4. But as if Kismet, I pretty much opened the book and the quote popped out at me and said, this is the one.
Right.
This is it.
Okay.
So
ready? I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm about to get my LeVar Burton on. Consider all you've outlived, including the life you thought you would have. You are durable, adaptable, resilient. Just being here is a triumph. Hour by hour, prove the voice inside wrong. The one that says you can't do it, do it. Keep moving.
What does this mean to you? Tell me.
I mean, so I've obviously like made jokes about my mental health, my mental illness, like
Beverly Fire Rescue is on its way to save some lives.
Let's hope it's just a cat stuck in a tree.
Yeah.
But
it's like a third truck.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if you guys can hear this. There's like fire trucks going by. Okay. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Why is this deep and meaningful?
I think obviously like I spent a long time, you have this view, this like very narrow view of your life, what you want it to be, what you need to do to get there. And when you have dreams that seem bigger than everything else, I think it's like very natural for your to like, if I could not stumble over my words completely, it's very natural.
Live podcasting.
It's very natural to get to a place where you believe that you are incapable of doing it, that you're not strong enough. So I do think it's important to realize like you've overcome some shit. Like,
yeah,
you know, you came into the world like kicking and screaming and crying and covered in goo. And now I'm like writing a romance novel and it's great.
Oh my God, you're sitting here in dungarees in Copper Dog Books. I mean, when you were born, you probably didn't think that was going to happen.
I didn't.
For sure.
At all.
No. You actually recently made the jump. You quit your full-time job. You are a full-time professional writer. You've taken some leaps.
Yeah, major ones.
We're going to jump into the programming in a second. And I see that we have a question. We're going to answer that question in just one moment. I feel like it's also really important for us to talk about who we're wearing tonight.
Oh, yes.
So if you're on social media, you may have seen that Jody and I both purchased, independent of one another, dungarees from Lucian Yak. And apparently this is a thing cool people do. I did not know. I'm not a cool person. This was completely by accident. Oh, I was inspired by a Twitter friend, and I apologize, my Twitter friend who I can't remember her name. Yeah. I'll think of it later. I saw her getting these dungarees. I was like, oh, that's super cool. And I got them. We found out that we had
the same ones.
Yeah. Yeah. And so of course, when we were like together, we had to wear our dungies.
Absolutely.
And
had to wear the dungas.
We went to go get dinner with my husband and my child, and we were leaving, and I was like, oh my God, everyone keeps like looking at us.
Yeah.
And Jody was reassuring me that we looked really cool. And we saw this like guy from the restaurant, like putting a trash bag in the dumpster.
Yeah.
And he kind of was like laughing because he heard us talking. And I was like, do we look cool?
And he was like, y'all have drip. It's drip. And I was like, I know. That's what I've been trying to tell her all day. like I like to consider myself something of a fashionista.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had gotten a compliment earlier about our dungas.
Yeah.
And I think there was a little hesitation on like, oh my God, was she serious? Or was it like making fun of us? And I was like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
We're cool as hell.
I was like, is this like a young person thing? Because I was like, how old are you?
Oh yeah. She was like, how old are you? Like snatches him up by his collar. Seriously. And he's like, I'm 16, ma'am.
Yeah. So it is a young person thing.
Yes.
Drip. I'm going to start using that.
Well.
Oh, okay, madam. Okay. Oh
I don't even say it. Is how I'm like.
So it's a young person thing.
Like very young.
Okay. All right. I will act my age. Okay. So we have a question from Elizabeth who asks, what is your favorite? Can you hear me? What is your favorite trope? And why is it? Oh no, there's only one bed.
Oh goodness. So I get a lot of like lovers of There's Only One Bed because of White Whiskey Bargain.
Mm-hmm.
There's a famously
infamous.
And I love There's Only One Bed. But I said this on the cruise last night and I'll say it again. My favorite trope is enemies to lovers. I haven't written one yet, like a true enemies to lovers, but it is my favorite trope and we will get there. But There's Only One Bed is sort of a like bread and butter, meat and potatoes trope.
I just think that it is such a fantastic way to like, if I can get like,
go ahead, go for it.
Deep for a moment. Like it's such a great way as an author and like for readers to get that immediate, like quick sense of intimacy of like, oh, they've let their guard down and they've just gravitated towards each other.
Yes. And sleep.
They didn't mean to do it consciously, but they did. And their true feelings are revealed.
Yeah.
And then it usually hastens the sexy times, which is fun.
Yes.
Or the intimacy, like, which is not always connected to sexy times.
Yeah.
But I mean, personally, I'm like, get to it.
Get to the fucking.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah. Do you have a philosophy on like a percentage or like a part of the book where you're kind of like, yeah, we need to get things going?
Ooh. So, do you know, actually, I mean, I feel like it's such a like cliche thing to be like, it really depends on the book and the characters. But I do feel like if I get past 30% into writing a book and there's no sexy time, I'm like, all right, now I need to get it in there.
Like, I mean, like a kiss.
Or, yes, I mean, it doesn't have to be like full on, like, but there's got to be something. I do like to like build sexual tension. So I feel like I tend to do like a pretty good job, even if the sex comes a little later in the story. I like to like really make it known that these people are like real horny for each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say like around 30%, I like to have something happen, whatever that may be.
Yeah. And I know you and I obviously like sex in our stories. Not everyone likes sex in their romance, and romance can be romance without sex. But for those of us who really enjoy the steamy times, like, yeah, it's like I kind of want to get it going. I want to know what's happening.
Yeah. And now, don't get me wrong, like, I love a good slow burn. I mean, I come from the world of like fan fiction where you can have a 250 word 1,000 story and you don't get so much as a handhold until 200,000 words in.
Like not even like brushing of elbows?
Oh, there will be a brushing of elbow, but it'll like...
What about longing glances?
Yes. Oh, yes. That's a major part of the slow burn.
What about handing into carriages? Or...
well, if it's historical, but it'll be like, you know, oh, I had to hand them something and oh my God, you know, things like that.
Yeah. What isn't that funny? There's like a theme of like, it's like the accident and then all of a sudden there's like the awareness.
Yes.
Right. That's like,
and then they're starting to find ways to like,
I accidentally just really need to be close to this person.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I think it's very similar to Only One Bed.
That's what I was going to say. And I was like, and would you look at that? Just so happens that right now there's only one bed.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. And now we have to be close.
Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do tonight. We have a little bit of a program and you guys can join in on this. I know there's another question. I'm going to jump to the question after we do a couple of these. I have some quotes that I'm hiding from my guest.
Can't look.
And Jody has to figure out if this is something she's written or somebody else has written. And if she doesn't think she wrote it, she has to see if she can guess like who wrote it.
Okay.
So you guys feel free to put in the chat if you can guess the book before Jody can guess the book. Okay. So I'm going to hold on. Let me start in the middle.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. I'm going to like cut out characters' names because that might make it a little bit
Fair.
obvious.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Rain hit character's back. Tears burned her eyes. She was freezing. She knew the right thing to do was go inside, shower, go to bed, take up meditating, write a resume. Do not sleep on friend's couch for 6 months. Do not throw yourself at other character. But the wrong choices were so much more attractive than the right ones.
Okay. So at first, I thought I had an idea that this might have been something I wrote in a specific book, and now I'm not so sure. Should I just guess?
Guess.
Did I write this in All Things Burn?
No, you didn't write this.
I'm so sorry to whatever. I'm like, that's beautifully written. It must have been me.
Yeah. Okay, so this.
So should I guess?
Yeah, I mean, you thought you wrote it. Now you're gonna guess another.
I'm
book?
gonna try to guess.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. I don't know if I can guess the book, but can I try to guess the author?
Absolutely.
Is it Talia Hibbert?
No.
Damn. Okay.
Okay. This is Satisfaction Guaranteed by Corelia Stets Waters.
I have never read this.
It's just out.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. I read an advanced reader copy. So yeah, I think it came out, I don't know, this summer.
I love how you looked at your watch.
Yeah, like it would tell me when this book came out. Yeah. So this book is about a free-spirited artist who has a really close relationship with the owner of a sex toy store.
Ooh.
And the sex toy store owner, Ruth, I believe, dies of cancer and leaves sort of like one of these like legal arrangements that you're not quite sure would ever be legally real, where Ruth's niece, Cade, who is like the accountant in the family of artistes. Anyways, I won't get all into the details, but she's like kind of like straight-laced and everything, says that they have to like run this sex toy store together and live in the house together and like save it from the brink of like bankruptcy because she was a terrible businesswoman. And Cade is not a virgin, but like has not had a lot of great sexual experience. And so there's like some sexual awakening. Selena, the other main character, is just like really free-spirited and like really open and has a cool community of friends. Anyways, I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Thank you for the rec. Okay.
No problem, Bob. All right. I got another one.
Okay.
All right. Did you write this?
Oh God.
I'm gonna make you so happy, wife.
Oh, I know
his voice sounded wrecked. Just wait and see.
Yeah, I wrote that.
In what book?
White Whiskey Bargain.
Why is that so memorable?
It's the moment after Hannah effectively hurts Javier's feelings, and he kind of just like leaves and whatever.
To lick
and
his wounds.
Yes, and ultimately realizes that he has to like communicate to her. That
Is communication important?
Who's to say? To communicate to her that he was hurt and that that's like the only way to like, you know, exist together. And I believe she's like, you know, okay. She like is kind of taken aback by him being so straightforward. Like, you hurt my feelings and that's not acceptable. And you said mean things.
I guess some people do that. Like,
Yeah,
they're like really
I
straightforward about their emotions. Use your words, Javier.
Yes.
Good boy.
Yeah, I mean, look, truly. And they decide to give this whole thing a try. And that's what Javier says to her.
Because marriage of convenience also.
Yes. Also, excuse me. Yes.
So that's where, the fire truck's coming back. Somebody made a comment earlier. Firefighter trope is a classic for a reason. Yes.
I'll say, when he was driving by, he was totally staring at us.
He probably should have been a little bit more focused on the task at
hand. You know, that's a
Man.
romance novel.
Okay.
Can't focus for the
Like,
babes in the
oh
window.
no, I accidentally drove into the
yeah, literally.
window.
Oh my God, how
to be
horrific
close.
would that be? We just like anyway.
This is not a true crime podcast, okay?
We are macabre.
Indeed, we are. Okay.
Okay.
Oh no.
I'm
you
not
didn't
looking.
look.
Don't worry. I'm not cheating.
Okay. All right. I'm going to do another one and then I'm going to take a question.
Okay.
She'd vomited her feelings all over him as if they were in some kind of angsty fan fiction that would end up any way other than it actually did, with her crying into her pillow for months on end.
I think I wrote this one as well.
You better be right.
I'm like taking deep breaths. Like I feel like
There's-
Katie Ledecky about to do like a 100-meter swim. Okay, I think I wrote this as well, and I think it's from All Things Burn.
Ding, 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 ding.
Thank God.
She got it.
Yay!
She got it. Yay! Julie's clapping. Okay, yes, this is from To Be Alone with You, a novella.
Oh no, I got it wrong. I said All Things Burn.
I hope I got that right. I think this is from To Be Alone with You.
Okay, it must be.
By Dame Jody
I
Slaughter.
think you're right and I'm wrong.
I took screenshots earlier and like I hope I arranged them in
I genuinely think you're right.
I think it's the first time that she shares her feelings for him.
Yes.
And he is like,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so To Be Alone with You is a novella that
It is.
that is COVID era, and
Mhm.
our main character,
Naomi. Mhm.
has vomited her feelings for this gentleman. How many years in the past?
10 years ago.
Yeah.
And he is 10 years older than her.
Mhm.
So when she was like
She was a bit precocious at
fresh-faced
the time.
21, yeah, she was like to this 31-year-old man, like, I'm just in love with you. And also they weren't in any type of like sexual or romantic relationship. He is the mentee of her mother who is an artist.
Mhm.
And he was kind of just like, pump the brakes, like you're 21. I don't think this is appropriate. But I think he didn't, he didn't
He
say
was into
that.
her. But
yes.
but he was like, I don't know if this
Yes,
is okay.
he was like, I feel like this is not appropriate, and you're 21. You've probably got like
some living to do.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
He makes the decision for her, which like but that's what
I'm
it is.
doing this for you,
right? And obviously, she spends the next decade like incredibly humiliated about it because who wouldn't be?
Totally. Right. I just love this one because you got the angsty fan fiction in there. And I feel like it is such a theme with Jody to talk about fan fiction and like insert that.
I love it so much.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Jody and I had a super long conversation about fan fiction because she got her start basically reading romance via Twilight
like
fan fiction.
Yeah. That's my romance canon.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? My like first stuff.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. Fan fiction. It's a gateway drug. And I was saying this the other night too, and I apologize if I've said this on the podcast before. I feel like I kind of want to like find all the people who are reading fan fiction because they're like wishing that things had happened in the book or the show that they're reading fan fiction about.
Yeah.
And they're like, this doesn't happen in like published things. Like I need to like go seek this out here for these things to actually happen. And I'm like,
look at the wonderful world of indies.
Like, or just like romance.
Yeah.
It's right here.
Yeah.
The people
Fully.
that you're imagining kissing actually kiss.
Also, odds are like someone's written a book loosely based on the characters you ship. They just obviously can't say that.
How many authors got their start in fan fiction and basically took their really popular fan fiction and then basically like changed some names and details and published it and were really famous.
Some of whom are incredibly wealthy now.
Yeah, it's not a secret. Like Christina Lauren, their Beautiful Bastard.
Beautiful Bastard
series
was a fan fiction.
Was it Twilight? Or
yes, it was Twilight. Obviously, like I know there's like contention about 50 Shades, but whether it's a romance or not, it started as a Twilight fan fiction. There's a lot more that were kind of, there was a, not to get into like Twilight fan fiction.
Let's get into the lore.
But there was a time when tons of people were pulling their fan fictions off of fanfiction.net because they were publishing them. So there were a lot of like stories that were quieter fan fictions that are also novels now. Yeah.
So. I have read several books recently that are clearly ships. You know?
Sure.
And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And I don't even watch TV or movies really that much. So like if I get
a load of this guy.
Yeah. I read books. All right. Of course Essie knew that it was to be alone with you.
Essie, I love you.
Yeah. Me too. Okay. Oh, we've got two questions. This is from Essie.
Yes.
Love Essie, who has a podcast. Love Essie is a podcast by Essie. Do you go into a book thinking of a trope, or is it pointed out to you after you've completed the story?
So I'm like a very tried and true pantser. I maybe sometimes have a wisp of an idea what's going to happen when I sit down to write every day or every session. And so when I'm in that moment, I will be like, what do I want to happen for these characters? What do I want to accomplish? And that's when I am like, oh, okay. Normally a trope pops out at me. I don't go searching for it. Yeah. You know what yes. Yes.
Firefighter. That's not a trope. That's not, I don't know.
Well,
That's
it
just
kind of, I mean, I feel like anything could be a trope if you just say it's a trope.
You know what? I really want to impose some structure on the trope conversation.
People are not going to like that.
No, I mean, but like, let's just go back to the definition. Somebody needs to pull. Hold on, I'm sure there's a dictionary around here somewhere. I think it's funny because I read a lot of books where I just read it, and then afterwards I'm like, oh, that was a trope.
Yeah.
And like, I enjoyed it, but it didn't pop out to me while I was reading it as the trope. I feel like I really have to sit down, and when I'm thinking about books that I'm recommending and I'm trying to like really get it down into something concise, it takes me a while to like figure out what the trope is. And then I see it and I'm like, oh, duh.
Well, is that because you don't read for trope?
I don't.
Not that you don't have any that you like, but that you just, it's not maybe even in the top 5 things that would make you decide that you want to read a book.
I feel like my enjoyment of a trope depends so much on execution.
Sure.
Where there are things that like are tropes where I'm like, that sounds great and I love that. But if it's not executed well, I'm not going to love it. It's like the trope is appealing to me. It sounds appealing to me, like pining. Pining blacksmiths is always going to be, it's highly specific and I just really like it. Okay. Yeah. I like pining a lot.
Yeah.
And if you tell me there's pining, I'm like, oh, that gets me interested. But then if it doesn't execute on the pining well, I'm disappointed. So ultimately, I feel like everything comes down to execution, and it could not have a trope. Like it could not clearly be a trope, and I could enjoy the crap out of it. And then it could be like really hard to tell other people like what the hook is.
Yeah.
You know?
That makes sense.
Let's see what else is in here. When a book is mismarked with a lackluster presentation of a trope, that's so disappointing. Yes.
Yeah, 100%. As a lover of enemies to lovers, that's a big one. Or I guess, because what I consider enemies to lovers isn't, you know, and this isn't like shade. I'm actually not thinking about a specific book. We're in a bookstore, so I'm going to use this as when I think about enemies to lovers, I don't think about 2 rival bookstore owners.
Are you thinking You've Got Mail? Because you just described You've Got Mail.
I've never seen You've Got Mail. No, sorry. I've also never seen When Harry Met Sally. I don't know. There are other ones. Sorry.
Anyways, I think we should just cut this short.
She's like, no, you're canceled. Absolutely canceled.
Julie, where's the cane that you used to pull guests off here? Yeah. She hasn't seen any of this. Oh my God. I think we should just move on.
I mean, everyone makes fun of me all the time for being young. Well, there you go. You know?
You can't help it.
Exactly.
You're just drip.
Yes, Andrea, I'm just drip. That's going to be my next Instagram caption. Did
I use it?
No, not at all, but it's very cute. Yeah. But yes, it's hard to, I'm thinking like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want. Yeah. I want like real stakes.
There have to be real stakes. If it's something that they could just talk about, it's like, okay, it's just dumb.
Miscommunication.
Like, yeah, I'm not into
it. Yeah. No. I've been ordered to kill you or be killed, and I've been ordered to kill you or be killed, and we gotta kill everybody else so that we don't have to kill each other because we're in love.
Now I'm sitting here, and is the real villain of You've Got Mail capitalism?
Well, the real villain is always capitalism.
True. And colonialism.
And white supremacy.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay.
Woo woo, Margo Hendricks. Ideologies. There's not ideology, it's ideologies.
Yeah.
Let's get that on a t-shirt, Julie.
I love how we're just like, Julie, jot this down.
Julie, cut that part out, Julie.